Here we go once again, ladies and gentlemen, with our third edition of Johnny Davis Live. We're just basically just taking call-ins today. We're talking to some of the people that were on the show. We're certainly looking forward to talking with Mr. Jeff Grady. Hopefully he'll be coming on here in just a moment. And our IKF welterweight champion, Mr. Luis Morales. Okay, on Jeff Grady. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is, the man from South Carolina, the man himself, Mr. Jeff Grady. I don't know whether or not Jeff has a middle name or not. I wanted to say something. Jeff Knockout Grady, something like that. Okay, cool. Well, Jeff, first of all, thanks for being on Johnny Davis Live today. I really appreciate it. I definitely appreciate all of your support over the years. You've been a really true supporter. Tell us a little bit about you, though, and about your background. We know that you've had some fights in Thailand and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about your fighting experience as well as what you're doing now in Charleston, South Carolina.
The quick version would be that when I was a little younger, my mom sent me off to Thailand, had me live over there for a year. While I was there, I was able to compete a couple times. I was lucky enough to win a couple fights. Then I moved back here, realized that people wanted to learn what I learned. And here I am having my people compete on your shows, pretty much.
Good. I think that one of the things that we have seen online, everybody who's probably see that video of you fighting in Thailand, where you get, I guess you catch an elbow or something, you got blood like running all down your face.
Yeah, I got caught a couple of elbows while I was over there.
Yeah. Then you come back and you knock the guy out, right? And yes, so that's why it's been very hard for you to get amateur fights, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's kind of a process. To my knowledge, back when I was trying to get fights, there weren't as many contenders as there are now. That was a couple years ago when the IKF wasn't having the caliber of fighters they are now. So if I try again now, I think things might be a little different. But at the time, it was kind of a process for me to get a fight over here.
Well, for a long time, this area didn't have a lot of kickboxing, Muay Thai going on. When I came back from California, and I'm trying to knock a hole in my back or anything, I'm just simply saying that I had a vision to grow and build the sport, and we've been trying to do that. What do you think about where we are today as opposed to where we were 5 years ago?
Man, I tell you what, 5 years ago, I had never done a tournament I had never really even fought in America. And then when I came back and came to the IKF, it was really my first experience. And that was the shows, I believe they were in Sumter.
We did do a couple of shows in Sumter, yes.
Somewhere right there. And from that to the IKF this weekend and the year before, everything has changed. Obviously the location has changed. I think the location it is at now is great. I think the level of competition has been the thing that has grown the most, and that's just going to benefit everybody.
Right. Well, in this past weekend's event, I mean, you're a pretty outspoken guy, right? And, right. Right? And one of those keyboard warriors, I call you, you kind of get on there and you kind of put your feelings out there. And you had some complaints about, some of the officiating this past weekend. Tell us a little bit more about what you felt happened and your feelings on that.
So first and foremost, I want to say that I have nothing but respect for all the officials affiliated with the IKF. After 5 years, I know them all personally. They're all very stand-up guys. They are doing the best that they can. But as Dan Stell said, I think one of the biggest issues is they don't get a lot of practice around here. Most of these guys' experience, and you may absolutely correct me if I'm wrong, is in the old school kickboxing and karate style of fighting. And you have a lot of schools now that have the new style of fighting, the march forward and try to finish you style of fighting. And sometimes I think the judges get caught up on exactly what they're watching.
Right. So I would say that, yes, that is true to the point of 5 years ago. Right, there was no one, and we had to bring in whoever we brought in, and they were kind of judging on that criteria. But I think since that time, we are training guys better to understand the new way of Muay Thai and kickboxing. But, you know, that's kind of like turning a big ship, right? It's like turning a big ship. It doesn't happen overnight, right? And some of those guys, right, you know, but once you kind of know how to judge, and this is the one thing I kind of always have argued that I have a issue with. Once you know what a point is, what a punch or an elbow or a knee or a kick, and when it lands, once you understand that the accumulation of that is what basically causes a win or causes enough damage for a knockout and or a win, it's really not that difficult to determine a winner. This is my thinking. Okay, so we are in the process of continuing to train people to get better, right? And so again, that doesn't happen overnight, right? You know, it's like turning a big ship and trying to get people's mind in the right place. No one, not even Bam or anyone, has learned this game overnight, right? So we have to try, and this is what me as a director in this area for IKF is going to try to do even better, is get our guys trained, even better trained. And I've been going over the scorecards, and all of them can tell you I've been looking at them and sending out notes and stuff like that. And we're going to have conference calls and video calls and all these things that we're setting up to make it better, right? And all, and so that, you know, everybody, when they leave, they can feel like they got a fair shake. They got a fair shake. We want everyone to feel that they get a fair shake. And everything, because there's not a perfect event out there. Most of the events, matter of fact, of these tournaments, after every event, it seems that somebody's complaining about judging. You know, when you look at Glory, somebody's complaining about judging. When you look at Bellator, somebody's complaining about, even in the UFC, somebody's complaining about judging. So tell me, what do you think, Jeff, the ultimate solution is for this, to try to fix this?
I mean, the easy answer, again, is more experience. You know, you are one of the only people in the Southeast that has a regular show. And there's no greater teacher in life than experience. And it's very hard to know what you are watching, know what you're doing, if you only get a chance to practice that once every couple months for a night, and then you go and don't do it again. You know, again, let me start by saying, as a whole, I think the IKF is a great promotion. I know when I made my post that some people were trying to throw shade your way or the IKF's way, and that was not at all what I wanted from that post. However, I don't think things are going to get changed without talking about them and bringing them up. And so that was really the purpose of my post, if there was a purpose. It was not to put you guys down or anything like that.
Well, when I saw it, I told you, I said, okay, people are going to jump on the band. Because you have, simply put, you have haters. You have people out there who are just waiting on opportunity to put something good down. That's just the way it is. And I'm just not about that. I'm about positivity. That's why I'm not coming on this show today, even though I have a bully pulpit, to beat up on people. I'm not going to do it. I'm professional. I'm not going to do that. What I'm doing is trying to fix the problem, right? And so I'm talking to someone who had a legitimate complaint about the tournament and all, and the only way we can get to the bottom of it is by talking about it and trying to fix it. Now, someone is Vince Mosca is asking the question here, what do we judge on? Do we judge on points or do we judge on damage? Well, I will answer that question. You can give me your opinion on it, Jeff, as well. You judge on both, right? You judge on both. You can't do damage if you're not landing in a point area for the most part. You understand? So points are important, but damage is definitely a big factor in the fight game. What are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
I agree. I also agree. Again, we're talking about amateur where you're wearing headgear and shin guards. So you kind of have to take that as a grain of salt as far as damage goes. What I was speaking on is I think that I'm not going to put anybody on blast, but one of the fights that I had commented on, there were a lot of low kicks and there were a lot of punches that the girl who was kicking's head was snapping back when she was getting punched. Now, you yourself in one of Anna's fights told me you have to do more than just kick someone's leg to win a fight. And I fully agree that. But to me, you have to look at the damages. If this girl is snapping someone's head back with her punches and this girl's kind of marching the other one around the ring, to me, if there was no headgear, that would be damage. She is controlling the fight, throwing bigger punches, throwing the more damage-inflicting blows. And if we're going to bring up the word glory, glory uses effectiveness of aggression as a scoring thing. And so
It should
to
be.
march forward was pretty much what I thought stole the fight for that fight. And to answer Lillian, I'm not talking about the Wendy fight with Anna. I thought that fight was scored fair. I thought it could go either way, but that's not the fight I'm talking about.
Right. So again, when people talk about being aggressive, I'm going to talk about my experience and my knowledge. When we talk about being aggressive, it has to be effective aggressiveness, right? So they got to be, right, they just can't be aggressive. And even if you're doing leg kicks, there's a scoring area in a leg kick, right? Above the knee, right? Below the hip, inside, outside of the thigh. It is not the shin, for example. Right? A lot of people think, oh, I just hit him in the leg. Now listen, if you drop somebody or stop them with a shin kick, hey, you won the fight, right? But ultimately, those are not necessarily scoring areas. And I just kind of want people to be clear on that. So effective aggressiveness is really, really important. And I think that, yes, we have to make sure that all of the judges understand all of the scoring criteria in a fight. And I think that's one of the areas where I think that, like you said, if somebody is maybe not counting a leg kick or not counting a knee strike, they should be, right? Because those are very, very effective blows. It's not just a picking up your knee kind of thing. I think that was one of the issues that Ramy had with this fighter, that this fighter was throwing a few effective knees. But a lot of the knees were just kind of picking up and just kind of tapping. They were not doing any damage or anything like that. A couple of them did land really clean. And I think that is up to the judge's discretion to call those, effective or not effective or whatever. That's why we have judges, right? But we don't totally want to discount a person just because they haven't fought in a ring that they can't judge. There are plenty of judges out there in boxing.
Oh, I agree.
Right, who have never fought before, and they judge perfect.
Mm-hmm. It's the same as coaching. I don't feel that somebody needs to be a fighter to be a coach, because they are two different things. And so I don't feel you need to be a referee, or you need to had actual fights to be a referee, because you're not fighting. You're doing something different.
So Jeff, I got a question for you. So when you fight in a decision, right, and you got a really close fight, we know we might not have a total agreement on this between the two camps if it's a close split decision or whatever. How do we get to the point where we actually can agree that the judges made a call and, okay, I can accept the fact that I didn't quite do enough to win, maybe I could have done more? When do we as trainers, or even as fighters, get to that point where we can accept a loss without beating up the promotion? I mean, what does it take to get to that?
Again, I can only speak for myself, but we lost 4 split decisions this weekend. And I made a comment about one of them. I'm not trying to beat up the promotion. If I was trying to take shots at the promotion, I would talk about the fact that how often do you actually lose 4 split decisions? I don't think that there was any unfair judging or anything like that, or any one-sided judging. To me, the fact that the judges have to sit here and watch fight after fight after fight. And as I think Omar Lee just said, there's a lot of rule sets. And if the judges are not changing their opinion on the fight when the rule set changes, then that is where a problem lies. I don't think you love to tell me I don't accept losses, but I do. Wendy just made a comment about Lillian just made a comment about the Wendy Julian fight. I don't think Wendy Anna's fight was scored wrong. I thought that fight was scored fairly. I think a lot of people watching that fight thought it could have gone either way, but Wendy won that fight fair and square. So to me, it's not about accepting losses more as it's about saying, hey, I, as a trainer, did not agree with that decision, and I just want it to be known that I did not agree with that decision. Numerous people had approached me and said, hey, that one, before we even sat down, there were other coaches that were like, man, come on. That was a pretty easy fight to judge. So that's all I was saying about that. I thought that one fight out of multiple that night was kind of scored a little backwards for me. But that was all.
Right. And, and I get it, like I said, but I just want to make sure that we can come to a happy medium where, first of all, we feel that we have honorable people there judging the fights. And then as we continue to train fighters, can the trainers come and the fighters come there and actually accept the fact that, okay, it was a close fight, but we just didn't get the win that time. You know, and then what? And then look in their own corner and say, what can I do better next time? What can I do to maybe motivate my fighter? What can I do to maybe look at the technique of the other fighter and make, you know, alterations, make adjustments in the fight that can push my guy to that next level to win? Is there any introspect in this, or should there be any introspect in this, where after the fight, that if you do not get the W, can you go back and take that loss and say, what can I do better next time, as opposed to saying, hey, the whole thing was a bunch of crap. And I'm not saying that you said that.
Right. No, I understand. But you can ask any of my fighters, you know, no matter what I say online or publicly, because I feel that on my public forum, I can kind of say what I want. I understand there might be repercussions, but I believe that that platform is actually for me to state my opinion. But you can ask anybody that I train. Within minutes of being in the back, I've already told them why they lost outside of the judges. Yeah, okay, the judging should have been in your factor. Had said fighter checked low kicks, this fight wouldn't even been a split decision. It would have been a unanimous decision. And so please don't think that I blame the judges for the loss. I just think that's not how I would score that fight. That's not how I think a lot of people would score that fight. But at the end of the day, my fighter lost. It is what it is.
Right. Well, I think, again, having this discussion right now is what it's going to take. We got to have the discussion, you know? And the only thing that, like I said, is that because we have this, listen to me for 1 second. I want to just tell you a little story, okay? Yes, and just bear with me for a moment. Back in the day, and I might have said this before earlier when I first came online and started doing the Johnny Davis Live, I remember this guy who was promoting these pretty big shows in Las Vegas, Nevada. And they were K1. And all of you know who the promoter was, Scott Coker. And Scott Coker and I, we worked together. A lot of people don't know that. You know, I helped him with some of the promotions that he did in San Jose. And, you know, we always admirable. And I think we still are. You know, we're cool. But I was also adamant about writing. I wrote a lot. And so I went to Las Vegas at the Bellagio, I believe it was. And at the time, remember this, at the time, they didn't have women fighting in K1. They didn't have lighter weights like yourself, Jeff, fighting in K1. They only had the big heavyweight guys. And a lot of those guys, only a few, I think, I can't call the names right now. Only a few of them have real good kicks and punches. But a lot of them were just clubbering. They were just clubbering, right? And it just didn't look like kickboxing. So I come back with my brilliant self and wrote this article called Everything That, because they had a lot of lights, and it was the Bellagio, right? So I said, everything that glitters isn't gold. And at the time, we had a really big format on the IKF website where a lot of people read what I wrote. And Scott Coker was very offended by it. He came back, he called me, and we talked for about an hour afterwards. And one of the things he said that stuck with me, and this has been maybe 15 years or so ago, he said, sometimes when you're trying to grow and you're trying to build something, it's better not to say anything public like that. Because, you know, that's all we got, Johnny. That's all we got. And at the time, he was right. But guess what? Everything I said in the article was also right. So I learned two things. Number one, I've never written another article like that again, right? And number two, even though I saw that K1 went away, it taught me that there were lessons that can be learned in what people have to say. So what I'm saying is I hear and I see you, right? And I listen to what people have to say. I just think that we have to be careful that we do not bring a lot of our potential customers who might come into these events, that we don't tell them that everything is a piece of crap in the sport too early before we even get them in, so that we can fill up arenas and eventually make money for these fighters so that they can live and have a good, prosperous career. So my only thing is that we should be careful. And the lesson I learned was to maybe sometimes hold my thoughts, go directly, because that was a very productive conversation that Scott Coker and I had. And again, I've never talked like that. I've never said anything like that again. And in fact, you see stuff happening all the time. People saying things about me because of my position, but I don't respond. You know what I do? I'll pick up the phone, and you know this, Jeff, and I call them directly, and I have a conversation with them. The only thing I'm asking, do you think that there is maybe a little bit more room for a little protocol and maybe PC, being politically correct as we are trying to build our sport? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from about the fact of, I guess, call it throwing shade the promotion's way by saying, my comment, I'm sure the comment you were talking about was that the judging in the Southeast needs to change. But let me ask you a question, Johnny. Had I not made that comment, will we be having this conversation right now?
Well, maybe not on the show. And again, that's why, I'm always open for people to make comments. So people tell me all the time, I guess my only concern, Jeff, and again, I'm glad we're having this conversation, was that when you put it on a public, because right now today we have Facebook. Everybody can be a keeper or warrior. Everybody can shoot shade. They can say what the heck they want to say. And there's no repercussion. I mean, and you just have to take it. Right. So that's the only thing that I think that with social media, that we should definitely be a little bit careful, at least, for the greater good of the sport, when we know that we're dealing with people who care as much about this sport as you do. Because remember, before there was nothing. Now we built something, thanks to guys like you, your support, and all these other trainers and fighters in the area. Now we built something, and we're building something. And as you can see with the interviews and the process of what we're doing with our shows, that eventually TV is going to come. It's coming. Eventually bigger sponsors are going to come. You know what? It's going to come. And when it does come, we want to make sure that everybody is a part of it and that they get their just due. But it's really for the fighters. So that's the only thing I really want to say, is that maybe in the future, and again, you obviously are free to say whatever the heck you want to say, Jeff Grady, right? But maybe in the future, perhaps some of these yourself and some of these other trainers can maybe take a moment to look at the overall greater good of the sport, and perhaps maybe hold back a little bit on some of their thoughts, as the passion of it, knowing that other people are going to use you, right, to throw that shade at something they don't like. Perhaps they don't like me. Perhaps they don't like IKF. Perhaps they don't like a lot of things. And I just think that there might be a little bit more room for us as people who love the sport. Jeff, I know you love this sport. I love the sport. Those fighters and trainers and mamas and daddies who are out there, they love this sport. We just want to make it better for everybody. No one is being malicious and trying to cheat anyone. But what I will say in your comments, yes, it always makes me hear when somebody insults, because we get a lot of compliments, a ton of compliments. But it's only that one or two insults that you hear that makes you say, what? And it makes you go back. It's almost like losing a fight, right? When you go and you win, you can win, and you don't evaluate as harshly on yourself. But when you go lose, you go back and you reevaluate everything. So yes, when I hear a negative comment, but guess what, Jeff? You can call me on the phone, and I'm going to hear you all the same.
Yes, sir. Right.
Right? Do I always accept your calls? Do I always talk to you?
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I know people like to focus on the negative, because truth be told, I made 2 posts this week. I made a lot of posts this weekend, but I made 2 important ones. One was saying what we're talking about now, and the other was saying how good of a job the promotion did, how good of a job you personally did, and stuff like that. But that's not the one being discussed. So I completely understand that people focus on the negative, because if you look at the comments on the first post, the negative one, there are multiple comments. If you look at the comments on the post where I gave you guys all the credit in the world, nobody really had anything to say. So I fully understand that people focus on the negative, and for any added negativity to the promotion or anything like that, I do apologize. All I was trying to bring forth is that I, as a trainer, see some inconsistencies with the judging, and any help we could get moving that forward would be greatly appreciated.
Jeff, guess what? I do too. I see some inconsistencies as well, and that's why I'm trying to change it. And again, it takes a long time to turn the ship. Let me tell you something. I like Jeff Grady. I always have.
I appreciate
And I've
it, John.
always said that. I've tried to promote you. I've had you on shows. I've promoted you for a U.S. title, but nobody stepped up to the plate. And again, that's why I have you on the show. As I said, I also invited Ramy because I was going to have a similar conversation with him. Because if you're going to say all that stuff on Facebook, in my opinion, you should be willing to come on the show and talk about it. If I'm willing, it's my show. I don't have to bring you on. But if you are willing to say all of that to all of your fans and friends, be willing to come on the show where we have even a bigger format, perhaps, right? And let's talk about it. And then, because this is the only way we're going to fix this thing. Because my promotions and AK promotions and IKF events are not the only events that have problems in judging. All of them have problems in judging. And I want to make sure that we bring this. And one day we'll have more, because I was hearing some people asking about clinching and, what scores more. What this is not is Thailand. I will tell you right now that what I'm trying to make people understand is that we're trying to change the game to understand points do count, damage count, effective aggressive counts, right? And also having control of the fight. A lot of people are all over the place when they're kicking and they're punching and they don't have control. I saw some guys that's cool, they're calm, they're collected, and they are simply in control, as an Angel was in the fight. If you keep sweeping a guy off his feet, that shows dominance, right? And if you keep throwing them down or whatever, that shows dominance. All of those things have to be taken into consideration in a fight. So it's my goal to try to help people better understand this sport and what we need to call, not based on Thailand. I want to be clear, not based on Thailand, not based on how they judge, because a lot of that is gambling and they have a totally different idea about that. I want to just kind of get an idea of who wins based on scoring, based on effective aggressiveness and damage and all those things, and try to get our judges to be able to see that. And the more we are able to do that, Jeff, I think this region is going to get better. We have great fighters in this area. I think everybody who comes to this area now starting to see, oh my God, those guys are getting so much better over there. And, a lot of our fighters are doing the IKF Point Muay Thai kickboxing tournaments. That's helping them improve their skills. And so I always encourage people for that. And now we got that next level where they're fighting in the ring, and people like coming from Canada and all across the country are starting to see, oh my gosh, those guys are getting good. And you see that your guys through these competitions, Jeff. Tell me about your fighters quickly, and we'll close out here in just a moment. Tell me about how your fighters have improved. You keep talking about Anthony Brown. Tell me a little bit about Anthony.
Of course, everybody loves their own fighters, but I think what Anthony Brown did this weekend needs to be talked about. His record is 2-2. He fought O'Shea Robertson, I believe his name was, who was 8-4. Won that fight pretty easily. Could have gone both ways, but I think Anthony definitely stole the last round.
No, he won. Anthony won the fight.
Anthony sat down in the back. There were a couple of either miscues or people dropped out. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but Anthony got about 5 minutes break and then had to strap the gloves back on and go out there and fight a very tough 8-0, was 7-0 John Gray, who is a tough competitor to fight, especially that style fight of John not having to fight earlier in the night where his power is at 100% is a very tough task. And as you know, Anthony lost a split decision. And so I will say Anthony lost that fight. I think John was able to find his range the second and third round. However, to put on that kind of performance at the age of 21 is not something you see very often.
The guy is super talented. And again, John Gray is somebody we're going to be talking to here real soon, not today, but really soon about some bigger things anyway. I mean, he shows that he has all the skills in the world. And for Anthony to go in there after already having a tough fight, to go in there and hang in there the way he did, I mean, there's nothing but respect for that young man, and we certainly are looking to have him on some bigger, give him some bigger opportunities down the road. I am definitely looking at him. I mean, so you need to know that. Now, Jeff, you have some really talented fighters. Anna Toole is a talented fighter. I mean, she fought a game fighter in Wendy, and Wendy was good. I think Wendy won the fight decisively, but Anna was in there. Anna was a very strong and talented fighter. I say that, maybe get a little bit more mean on Anna. She's got to get that little bit more of that.
We're working on that. We're working on that.
Right, a little bit more of that eye of the tiger, and I think that she's going to be, a killer in that sense. Yes, but I just wanted to thank you for coming on today and being honest and speaking your truth. I think that is really important. I think we need more people to do that, and we will be inviting more people. This Johnny Davis Live is not all about lovey-dovey all the time and stuff like that. We are a show to educate the public and the fighters about the sport of Muay Thai and kickboxing, and so you have a great opportunity to come on this show if you want to discuss, different issues. I'm more than happy to have you on. Just let me know. Anything else you would like to say, Jeff, as we close out the show?
No, man, that's it, really. I really do appreciate you letting me speak. A lot of promoters are not going to do that just for the sheer reason that they don't want awkward conversations like that, but that's how you move forward. So, again, thank you very much for having me on here today.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jeff Grady from Charleston, South Carolina, Muay Thai. Does a great job. I want to thank him so much for being on the show. Once again, guys, this is Johnny Davis Live here. I want you to make sure you friend me and follow me, first of all, on akpromotions.org. If you want to see some of the great fights that happened this past weekend, friend me or like my page at akpromotions.org on Facebook. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at Johnny Davis Live. Once again, guys, check me out, www.akpromotions.org, ikfkickboxing.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Johnny Davis Live, and I'm checking out. Thanks again, Jeff. Yes, sir. Bye-bye.